And welcome back to Laurel Park. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon on Today at the Races. Well, yeah, we're just about getting into the afternoon hour.
Yes.
Welcome back,
Yeah,
Keith. How
very
was
good.
your week?
Pretty good.
Good?
Pretty busy. A little
Yeah.
sultry, a little warm out on the golf course, and threw a lot of BP on the days off, getting the kids ready for summer ball. Yeah, so it was good.
Monday and Tuesday were brutally
Yeah.
hot here,
Oh, yeah.
but it seems like it's tapered off. I think it was supposed to be a little bit hotter than what it
Yeah.
currently is. And looking at the forecast, it's going to be a nice, pleasant day. We're probably going to get into the low 80s and chance of precipitation, but
Yeah.
we really haven't had a lot of rain
We
lately.
probably could use a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
surely. I live a little bit north of here. I had some last night. Nothing really to be a major impact, but yeah, a little bit of rain wouldn't hurt. We don't want any deluges, but yeah, just a touch.
And turf was pretty fast last weekend.
Main track was quick too.
Yeah,
Sunday we
both.
saw some horses go 9 and change, 8 and change. So yeah.
So that's something to pay attention to as we get underway this weekend. But wanted to mention a couple of things that are coming up, including this Sunday. Don't forget, this Sunday is Father's Day, and you can come out here to Laurel Park and celebrate Father's Day on Sunday, June 18th. Enjoy Sunday brunch for $22 per person in the Garden Terrace. The first 100 dads who purchase a brunch buffet meal will receive a Father's Day gift bag. Moving along to next weekend, Saturday, June 24th, we've actually got 6 stakes on tap, Class on the Grass, and catch some of the Mid-Atlantic's hottest racing with 6 exciting stakes races here at Laurel Park, of course, on our world-class turf course. So excited for that. We've got stakes totaling in $450,000. Regular post time at 1:10 p.m. We also have the Totally Thoroughbred Horse Show presented by Beyond the Wire. That's actually coming up the Sunday following that big stakes day here at Laurel Park. That's a big event that a lot of people come out to each and every year. It's at historic Pimlico Racecourse, and you can cheer on some of those retired thoroughbreds as they compete in lead line, hunter, and jumper equestrian classes. So the Pimlico's Totally Thoroughbred Horse Show has raised more than $60,000 to benefit the Thoroughbred Aftercare organization. So it's a great cause. It's a really well turned out cause too. I've not been there yet, but always hear good reports from there.
A little tough when we've got some stuff to do here in the mornings. I wish we could get over there one day and check it all out. Yeah, it's just nice to see, some of the horses they're after their racing careers to be able to go out and be taught new things and to thrive. It's cool. They need a break, they need a little come down period, and then boom, off to doing their new line of work, which is I'm sure they enjoy.
Exactly. They like a duty to do, as do we. And we were out on the backstretch yesterday, or maybe the day before, Thursday morning, actually. They all blend together some days. But we got the chance to catch up with a couple of people, and one of them being jockey Steve Hamilton. And, of course, Shimmering Aspen is coming back off of a brief freshening since Black Eyed Susan. Here's what Steve Hamilton had to say about this filly coming back against stakes competition this weekend.
Well, she came out of the race really well. She rested up a little bit and just let her get back on her feet. And Mr. Jenkins does a great job with her. We're looking for big things from her. She breezed real well last week, and just looking for a big effort.
Your thoughts on the Black Eyed Susan and that experience as a whole?
Well, there was a few things I think that played against us. For one, she'd run twice this year, but she was never really asked. She did it in hand both times. Then right before we went in the gate, the sky just opened up and the track was, playing against us down on the inside. I guarantee it was a foot deep down there. And she had the worst of everything, but still had a great trip from where we started. And, like I said, she come out of the race well, and we're just looking forward now.
How do you think she'll like cutting back in distance to the 7/8?
I don't think she'll have a problem with that. She's a pretty keen filly, so I think she's going to put us right in the race early anyway. So just hope for the best.
Thanks very much, Steve. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
That was jockey Steve Hamilton talking about Shimmering Aspen. Of course, Shimmering Aspen had 2 really blowout victories here at Laurel, and Rodney Jenkins, dealt with a very tough decision in do you cut her back in distance to 3/4 in the Miss Preakness, or do you take your shot in the Black Eyed Susan?
Yeah, and the bettors thought he made the right decision. She was bet down to favoritism. I think a little bit, a touch above 3-1. You had some things work against her. The key thing I think he said, though, was she'd run 2 blowout wins and really hadn't been maybe gotten to the bottom of yet.
Yes.
And then that track played a little bit different when the rains opened up. She looked like a stone-cold winner leaving the half once she got outside and made the move. But maybe that little lack of conditioning. I mean, there was a couple different factors. Is she really a sprinter? We don't know. I'm sure they'll probably stretch her back out to give her another try. But, boy, she looks awfully tough coming back here tomorrow.
She does.
She does look
we
good.
do have Yellow Agates, who's coming back
Mhm.
since the Breeders' Cup, but it is a layoff. It's 7/8.
Yep.
You know, sometimes you like to have some of these fillies who have a better bottom underneath of them.
Yes, it's a good race. Shimmering Aspen, she looks with a clean break, the speed of the speed too. I know she doesn't need it, but she's going to get good position. Yellow Agate, proven early in her career. I loved her in the Breeders' Cup. She just had a horror trip. Happened to call that chart that day, and she'll be back rested. Looked like she's working forwardly to a good return. But boy, I don't think she thought they were going to get in a $75,000 stake. This Saltiva field, nice field.
Talking about speed, and of course we'll talk more about this race tomorrow. But the Larry Jones filly is very fast too, so
Yes.
she could probably test Shimmering Aspen. Although Shimmering Aspen has, I think she breaks from post 2, so. I kind of believe that Steve has but one option, and that is to go from the inside at 7/8. So looking forward to that. Also looking forward to some of our 2-year-old races on Saturday. And Dirty Foot, a nice 2-year-old for Robbie Bales, is coming back. Finished second behind He Hate Me, who actually went up and won the Tremont at Belmont during Belmont Stakes weekend. So we'll take a look at what Robbie Bales had to say yesterday morning.
I think he's doing really well. Came out of the race well. We're adding blinkers for Saturday, and I think that's going to move him a little bit farther forward. And like I said, we really liked him a lot going into his first race. We just caught a tough horse in there, and like I said, hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck on Saturday.
Tough horse indeed.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a pretty nice Sagamore runner who went up and won the Tremont. And Dirty Foot, a good outside post position. There are some other nicely bred 2-year-old first-time starters. We actually caught up with Cal Lynch. We'll show that interview tomorrow. But I think he's got a pretty good runner on his hands.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And they say the rest of the field, though, we could see some other ones kind of emerge here. I think we're going to start seeing as we get a little bit later into the summer some good 2-year-olds. But Kenny Decker's got a horse working really fast. You got another Sagamore horse in there. Cal Lynch with a couple. An Uncle Mo I think is in there. So yeah, it could be any time. Robbie Stork's going to have his running shoes on, no doubt about it.
I was talking to some people with Sagamore, obviously congratulating them after a good week up at Belmont, also recruiting Ready ran his eyeballs out Belmont weekend too, and they said, we really like He Hate Me. We really think he's a talented 2-year-old, but we might have a couple 2-year-olds that might be even better.
Wow.
So they
not a bad problem.
They might be having a good summer, I would say.
Yeah.
So good stuff there from Steve Hamilton and Robbie Bales. Thank you for your time. We'll get into today's action though, and we'll kick things off with some of our carryovers. We've got some nice carryovers, including in the opener. We've got that rolling super high 5 carryover, a whopping $3,000, $3,109 to be specific. So expect a lot of action in that. We started off with a maiden claiming event, going 2 turns on the turf. And then we've got that Rainbow 6 carryover, 65-34 in that Rainbow 6 kicks off in the 5th race. And Keith, I was surprised by how much play this bet got last week. We had about a $7,000 carryover, give or take. They bet an additional $18,000 into the pool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, so they like I said, we've talked about it time and time again. We're getting our share of the market. They're really sending it in on our multi-race bets, the pick 5, the pick 4, the pick 6s. Gotta love it. And once again, this card is another example. Really, really tough. You've got to do your work to get through it. And no real singles along the way. So you will be rewarded with some good handicapping.
I completely agree. Now we'll take a look at our track and weather conditions. Look at outside right now. We can see that beautiful green turf course, and we're going to get to it quite a few times this afternoon. But we are fast and firm on the turf, and as I was mentioning, we're probably going to get into the low 80s, cloudy with a chance of rain. First post time set for 1 to 10 p.m. So let's get to our 10 races on tap. We've got a lot of ground to cover, including in today's opener. It is a maiden $16,000 event, a mile and a 16th on the turf. I did come up with a pick 5 ticket, so I'll walk you through that. And this was extremely difficult to construct. Every multi-race bet was difficult. I tried
Yeah.
to take a stab at the pick six. It was
Sure.
like $144 ticket.
Yeah.
I said I can do that.
Okay.
So I'm just using the 1 and the 12 here. Honestly, I wish I could use more, but for budget purposes, this is what we're dealt with. Going to be singling the 3 in race 2, spreading in the 3rd. I thought that was a pretty wide open race. In the 4th race, just the 1, 3, 5, and then in the 5th, the 6, 8, and 10 for $45. So early money right now, obviously very early money, is on the 1 Here Comes Michael. So that's where we'll start the conversation off. And we'll go back to the 12th of April. Now, this was under the handling of Abigail Adset, but we can see this horse actually breaking from the outside. He is the number 9 horse. And I thought, I guess it was questionable because I thought he broke pretty quickly. He kind of veered out a little bit coming out of the gate, but he was under a stranglehold going into the first turn. We can see the rider, Irad Ortiz, pretty much consciously taking this horse off of the pace.
Yeah.
He looks like he wants to go to the lead and
No
him
doubt.
taking him off of it. So we can cut it out from there, guys. That's really what I wanted to show. In the following replay, kind of poor quality here, we were going to show it, but out of the gate, he was bumped pretty hard coming out of the gate, and then he had to take back immediately. So what I'm trying to say is I think he's going to break a lot faster, especially from the rail post position. And I think he has a little bit dirtied up form that we could see a better performance from him.
Yeah, and that's certainly going to help his teams. I know he's getting bet early. I think he'll float up a little bit. And as you say, you look at the field, Gabby, there is not a lot of speed at all. And internals, okay, 2 races back. The number fits. The blinkers go on inside post. Let him go. Let him take advantage of that chance to save ground. He's going to be difficult. I don't have him in my top 4. I'm certainly going to use him underneath in the exotics. I think it's a really, really tough field. The 12 quality time is going to be my top selection. Phil Schoenthal with a couple wins recently. Barn going well. He was showed he didn't like the dirt. We were wondering why this horse never tried the dirt. Well, you saw it. I know he called it sloppy sealed surface. Didn't really run a step. You go back to his turf races, solid enough. He's got enough tactical speed. I think Here Comes Michael, the 1 in the 12 quality time, will be forward a long, long way in here. Comes out of the last time he tried a turf back in September 2016. Very productive race. A slight edge to the quality time. Wouldn't surprise me with the 1. I think Sunset Arch is a user. Moves outside to inside. He doesn't have a lot of speed. And the 3, even Red Clay Road for Antonio Aguirre seems to be another one. He's going to be up towards the pack, towards the front of the pack, stalking the pace. A little drop in class is going to help his chances. You got a real head scratcher to get you started for your weekend here at Laurel.
It's a big head scratcher, and that's why you just kind of have to have a little bit of confidence. That's where I saw it. The way I saw the race maybe panning out after watching some of the replays of Here Comes Michael, I really think he's going to go to the lead today from the rail, especially with the blinkers on. It just looked like Rick Silliman, this is the motive that they want to, this is a strategy that they want to go with, and that's going to hinder a horse like Quality Time, who I think if Quality Time was on the rail, he for sure would be the fastest out of the gate. But he's hindered by his post position. Just using those 2, I think Smash and Dash could win. I use the 8 Street Passage as a long shot. I like him getting back to a really firm turf today. I don't necessarily think this horse can win, but I like him to maybe beef up those exotics. You like the 3, so yeah, we could talk forever about this race.
About the opener dash. Street Passage, interesting. Yeah, you look at his last turf number 67.
Yeah,
that wins this race.
Exactly.
He's got plenty of conditioning coming off of those races.
He's fit.
Yeah, he's dead fit.
Run all day.
If he can run back to the race prior to that layoff on the fly. Smash and Dash got a good ride last time. Kind of rated in nicely behind horses. I expected a little bit more kick though that last 1/8 of a mile.
That's where I thought he was a little bit vulnerable. So taking a bit of a stand against him. We get to the second race, a 10,000 non-winners, a 2 lifetime event, 1 turn mile onto the main track, and we've got brute force in here from the rail. He'll take a little bit of play, but the 3 Chief Tarhe for Mary Epler is going to get the most play. And the way that the barn's been going for really the past year or so, or even more, and the fact that this horse is coming back to the dirt, a more preferred surface, might have a little bit of a class edge here. This was my single in the early pick 5.
Yeah, I think frustrations have just set in. Thought he was a little bit better horse when they went in and grabbed this horse for $16,000. Gelded the horse. It's going to be second time gelding on the dirt for Chief Tarhe. He's going to get get the right kind of flow up front, Gabby. Brute Force has got speed. Mischievous Dan, I think Brute Force is the quickest of the quickest. If they let him go, he's just having trouble getting the distance. But I think Chief Tarhe will make a steady progression up to the pack by the time they hit the head of the stretch and be able to go on by. Get rid of. I like this horse stretching back out. His two-back maiden breaking try puts him right there in the mix. He's another one's going to benefit from the speed.
Exactly. He's tactical. He doesn't necessarily need the lead. Another horse that I thought was pretty tactical was the 2 Impressive Way. He hasn't really stretched out to the mile in quite some time, but he won at 7/8 last time out. We'll show you a stat for trainer Cal Lynch with his maiden winners on the dirt, coming back and winning first time against winners. 22%, $2.13, so a positive ROI, and 55% in the money. And that's a big sample size, 76 horses. So it's just a pretty successful move. And I thought, too, that this horse will appreciate the pace flow in front of him.
He certainly looks like he's crying out for a little bit more ground. The extra furlong should not hurt his chances. He's just got to get a little bit faster if he's going to, overtake the likes of Chief Tarhe, even get rid of the 4 horse.
I threw in a crazy horse, the 7 Jackson S. I'm completely just blinkers on, not looking at the last 2 races. But this horse, he broke his maiden for maiden 10 when they finally dropped him down to really the right level. Yes, he was well beaten by Chief Tarhe, but that was I just think that he could probably get a piece of it because he's not very fast, and if that pace collapses in front of him, he'll be double-digit odds. I'll just use him in the trifecta there in the second race. So we'll get to the third on the card, heading back out to the turf course for a maiden $16,000 event. We're going 2 turns, a mile and a 16th. Keith,
It's another one.
This is
the split, right? It's just the split of the first, right?
Scratcher.
Yeah, you it's a little bit of a guess. Donnie Baseball ran okay first time on the turf. Stretching out outfit we're a little bit, not familiar with. The favorite was going to be Looks Like Simon, gets scratched. Where do you go? I'll try one last shot with the 2 horse Rah for trainer Mike Denny. I don't know what happened last time on the 28th. Just had no real excuse. Was well positioned, angled out, didn't fire at all. But the 2-back try at Tampa, that was encouraging enough. A rider that is new to the circuit here, but doing well. He's a solid rider, Gonzalez. So I think this horse will be in position enough. Looks like, based on the rest of this competition, he's got a little bit of a better finishing punch than what I'm seeing from the rest of the field. So tepid choice on the 2 Rah.
I stared at this race for so long, and I just decided I want a new face.
Okay.
And that is the 5 Wigwam Summer for Franny Campitelli. He's got a pedigree to suggest that he likes the turf. He's by Hat Trick. He's out of a mare who actually made $150,000 on the turf and who was stakes placed. This horse is actually kin to Frank Conversation for Doug O'Neill, who was a multiple graded stakes winner on the turf. So there's a bevy of turf pedigree on the bottom side. You get Hat Trick on the top side. The only time this horse has tried the turf was when he was 2, and that was sprinting. I think he's a better horse, maybe going 2 turns. Looks like he's definitely lost a step or 2.
Yes.
Maybe he just needs a change of surface. You don't have to be that good to win this race.
No, not at all. And he took considerable play in that debut run in a 12-horse field. 11-1. That's enough. That's enough action. Yeah, they go to Caramount. This horse should be every bit of 20-1.
It's a crazy bet.
Yeah,
but why not?
I don't blame you at all in this race. I think What Gives could benefit. There's a horse that they tried out early in their career, going long right off the bat. Started long on the dirt. Things didn't really pan out. A freshing and okay run from the back of the pack. Now stretches back out, which should be the preferred distance for the 12. What Gives? This is just a blow. It's just got blow up written all over it.
It does. And that's why I had to go with a little bit of a price. Now, you use the one Donnie Baseball. My concern with this horse is that he started when he was 4. It was 4.5 furlongs at Charlestown, then 5/8. Just doesn't seem like he has a good bottom underneath of him to stretch out to 2 turns.
I probably would have liked one more sprint, and then we'll go forward from there, a 5.5. But looking back, the second dam was a multiple winner going long on the grass. You see Yankee gentlemen think a little bit more speed. This horse should be stalking, make that maybe middle move. Can he keep going? That's what he galloped out okay last time, but that was a 5/8. So I mean, what can't take a whole lot of that when you're stretching out to the mile and a 16th. But he'll be able to save every bit of ground.
Anything can happen. And to spice things up even more in the third race, do take note that with some of those scratches, the 13 and the 14 drawing off the also eligible. I actually used the 14, a first-time starter for Hugh McMahon. Curious to see this horse actually working at Saratoga, and then in here has the most recent work, not very fast, or the two most recent works, not very fast on the main track here at Laurel, but they're putting him in for 12.5. He draws in off the AE. He might be overlooked. Hugh McMahon can win with a first-time starter. So
certainly, yeah, this
I
is one.
used him
Don't leave out.
protectively.
Sneaks in, comes
Yep.
in off these. If you can add them somewhere on the screen for me right there. The 14. No, Sydney's Candy, okay. North Light, okay, and comes in with Lasix. Yeah.
All
Don't
right.
let this horse slide by, especially in your early pick 5s or pick 4s.
That's the third.
Yeah.
Blow up
Goodbye,
potential all over it. It's actually a very fun race
Yep.
because you could get very creative in that race betting, some trifectas, some doubles, some multi-race
Everything.
bets. So that's a very fun race. We get to the fourth race, a one-turn mile on the main track for this maiden 10,000 event. And it's just kind of a red flag for Publish and Iterate. They're just saying, yep, we're just dropping them in 9 to 5 on morning line. How do you work around this horse in your pick 4?
Yeah, that's going to be the key. I fear a little bit, though, El Gran Noel. Yeah, here's my middle pick 4. I think this 5 horse, Gabby's got a shot. Bruno Tessori, a newer trainer that we're seeing around here, I think he's going to do well. First time gelding, has some tactical speed, stretches out. And Publish Illiterate, he better hadn't get too far back. So 2 deep to start it in race 4, 3 deep in race 5. I think Top Prospect's going to be awfully tough coming back. Mongolian King, I know he won last time out. He got a great trip. Like the grit, should handle the firmer surface maybe even a little bit better. 4 deep in race number 6. I think this is a real head scratcher. You look at Fletch, I think it's a bogus number, 67. He got away with it, everything really easy on a fast track that night. Got away with dawdling fractions, and 3 deep to close it. The 1, 6, and the 11. And the 11 is going to be a real short price in there. I think Quick-Witted for Hammy could shake things up at a bigger price that maybe upset the apple cart.
That horse, we'll get to
36
that in a little bit.
Okay.
I've been following that horse. I don't know
That's
how
your
many times he
humoristic,
started,
right?
but I
Yeah.
think I've picked him every single time. So anyway,
All right.
that's the humoristic horse. I always love them. Race 4, Publish and Iterate from the rail, dropping once again from maiden 16 to the $10,000 tag. This was a horse that he's by tap it out of a Mr. Greeley mare. Bred to be a good one, hasn't necessarily panned out.
No.
Could this horse potentially, given the fact that he's run okay races against Maiden Special Weight Company on the turf and a decent performance last time out, could he potentially regress again on a fast main track?
I don't know if he's going to move much. I think he is what he is, really,
Yeah.
right now. He's hit the spot. Like I say, frustrations have set in. This is the lightest field it looks like that he's faced. He's going to be well back. I think he's going to be a short price. I just think I've got to go elsewhere to try to beat him. My High Roller, another one, kind of a give up. A horse is $650,000 purchase. Got a lot of high dollar horse flesh in for a low tag here. El Gran Noel, though, I'm going back. I see 56, 57 on the numbers not too far ago. Horses that he ran against have come back to run okay, even at the level, a little bit higher level. I think this horse comes in with a good spot. There's not a lot of speed in here. Maybe my High Roller Vegas Appeal. I don't know if he's as quick early. I think El Gran Noel from Orner just off of it. Slight upset.
First off the claim for Bruno Tessori, first time gelding, in with the 7-pound apprentice, stretching out in distance. They're going to blow the field off their hooves and make them all be on the merry chase. I really think that that's a strategy that they're going to have today, in with the lightweight, just take the speed advantage and hopefully that they can sustain that. I mean, we haven't seen this horse since the beginning of March, but I think that might be the strategy. Bruno Tessori, he's had some pretty decent claims, and the one thing that I've noticed about some of his claims, whether they be from Florida or here, he gives them adequate time, I would imagine, to kind of get into his program.
Right.
So, and it's been pretty successful. He's got that nice horse that he claimed, the starter allowance horse on the turf, who I believe might run tomorrow or today.
Seaview?
Jose
maybe?
Seaview.
Yeah.
Yep. So I went the same direction
Okay.
you did. I also used the 3 My High Roller here
Right.
for Cal Lynch. Technically is the first time in for the tag on the dirt. I know he dropped in for 25 last time out with the turf. He was running okay on the turf before, so the fact that he ran so poorly last time out I thought was discouraging. But I think he might have a little bit of a class edge with the drop.
Yes, Metallic, Bronx Sandman, Dundalk have all come back. They've run okay. Was taken back off the pace. So I expect speed from this horse. I don't know if he's going to be as quick as El Grandewell if they let that horse go, but he's going to be a forward factor, no doubt.
That's races 1 through 4. We will step aside momentarily, and we'll come back, and we'll take a look at the 20-cent Rainbow 6 and some of the later races on today's card right after this.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions who make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to support horse racing, to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Welcome back to Today at the Races here at Laurel Park. And now looking at the 20-cent Rainbow 6, it does start in the 5th race today. And we have a carryover over $6,500 in that. And although it may look like just an okay carryover, we had a $7,000 carryover last week, and they put over $18,000 additional money into the pool. So it was well played last week. I imagine it will be well played today. So definitely take a look at the 20-cent Rainbow 6. It's not easy, but if you take it down, you're going to get paid.
You get a great job. I mean, to be the lone ticket, it is a tough progression of races, no doubt about it, races 5 through 10.
All right, we'll start it off here with the 5th, and I believe we wanted to go back and show a spotlight replay of the 8 Mongolian King here for Kieran McGee.
Yeah, got back to the turf and got back to a yielding surface over at Pimlico and got the job done at 9-2. Was that third off the claim for Kieran. What I like is this horse, the way he rated nicely, he makes the move, gets the lead, and I tell you, the way he just digs in late, I think, was the most impressive for me. Was this the right race, guys? Is that the 14th? Maybe not. That was another one.
That is on May the 5th, or 4th.
14th. I'll tell you what happened on the 14th. The horse stalked the pace, made a bid, and I tell you, he took a lot of pressure into the lane, very resilient, then kicked away late. So Mongolian King and catches another field. Not a lot of speed. I think it could be maybe a lineup of what happened last time in that May the 14th race with the 3 Great Harbor Key going out to the lead, Mongolian King stalking. But I think Top Prospect I think he's a little bit better than this horse on the turf when he's right. I thought he ran real big when Mary tried on the turf, second off of a layoff. Second time in her barn back in April behind Boppin' and Weavin'. Was bothered there. I just bit off too much last time out. That was a tough field for 20,000. Was hung out wide every step of the way. The mile trip is going to be right up his alley. He's going to be able to save ground, tuck in behind the speeds, and maybe sneak up and grab Mongolian King late.
And I like Mongolian King, but I think two things that are working against him, and you always want to play devil's advocate sometimes. Yes, it was a very visually impressive win, but he beat Hard Drive, who really hasn't been in form lately until then, and he also beat Great Harbor Key, who is 0 for 5 on the turf, and I think is a better dirt horse.
Correct.
So I do think that this is a much tougher field that he's facing, and we'll show you a stat for Kieran McGee with his winners last out going long on the turf, coming back and winning. Isn't great, isn't awful, but you're not making money betting this type of angle. So 17% a negative ROI. They finish in the money plenty of times, but that's where I thought this horse was a little bit vulnerable. And I'm with you, Keith. I think that Top Prospect is coming out of stronger races. He comes out of the race behind Boppin' and Weavin', 2 starts back. I thought it was a good race last time out. Barney Rebel, look how productive that May 6th race was.
Right.
So I just thought that Top Prospect, although I do respect Mongolian King, Top Prospect might have a little bit of an edge here.
No, I agree with you there, and it just that race was just too tough last time. Beating the likes of Court and a Song, a horse we've seen competitive in allowance races. So yeah, Anawan, what do? You think he can close up ground? This is the right distance for him. If he can get the right kind of speed up front, I think he's back to a good race. He needed his last was wide the whole way. Jose Seaview was able to kind of save ground that race and had a perfect trip to win it. I think Anawan's going to bounce back with a good effort today.
We could see that. I mean, he's very consistent. He needs the right pace flow in front of him. My concern is that he tends to do a little bit better at Pimlico sometimes than he does. It's not that he runs poorly here. He just cannot win, and it's odd because of of these wide swooping turns,
think he would
and
like
you
it.
think he'd love it and he'd handle the turns, but I guess it's just not the case. So he's trying to get off the duck here on the Laurel Lawn, but he is one to, I think, look out for as well as we kick off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. We'll get to the 6th race. Of course, this does start the 50-cent late pick 5. This is a mile on the main track, 9 winners of 3 lifetime for that $5,000 tag. And at first glance, I kind of see maybe a contentious pace in here, Keith. I think that there are a couple horses that could go to the lead. So I liked 2 horses, one of them Data Mining. I think he's going to get the right pace flow in front. He's a closer, and also Some Promises, who has a similar running style.
Yeah, these 2 I think are going to be the beneficiaries the way kind of things set up. Fletch, I don't think he's as fast as Colm on Fire. If Colm on Fire wants to go, Deal Driven is even quick. Look at the internals he comes out of: 46-3, 46-1, 2 back 5.5, and then the mile and the 16th last time out against One Step Closer, came back to win. But he's kind of in a free fall for show and thaw. I think Some Promises it's the perfect trip again. I like the way he got last time. Jockey trainer, you go back over the years, they're like 27%, David, when he hooks up with Forest Boy. She fits this horse perfectly. We'll be able to get this horse to settle from off the pace. It'll be a kind of a grind from the top of the stretch to the wire, but I think Some Promises will come out best. Data Mining, the biggest fear. He pulled the upset a few races back against Some Promises, but I think it's one of these 2 along with Fletch. Fletch will make the move. I'm just really, really skeptical of that last number.
I am too, and like you said, the pace flow, and I think Some Promises also, when he's spotted at the right level, which he is today, he delivers. You know, he I know he's 2 for 23 on form at first glance, but at the 5, at this distance on the dirt, this is where he's best, and he's reliable at that. So it looks like we kind of see this race similarly. Pretty decent pace up front, could set up for either Data Mining or Some Promises. You like Fletch a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this horse has tried the dirt a couple times in recent months. The race at Charles, he did have some legitimate trouble, but he's got to show me a little bit more if he's going to get by Some Promise. Data Mine is probably your best price shot in that 6th race.
Let's move on to the 7th to kick off the final pick 4 of the day. We go to the turf in a mile and a 16th, maiden $40,000 race, and we have Twisted Adage coming back 3-1 on the morning line for Rodney Jenkins, and we'll go back and show you the video spotlight replay of this horse trying the turf last time out.
Yeah, Twisted Adage. We'll kind of catch this. I think it was really hampered. 13 post in a big field, 14 horse. He's out 3 wide the entire way. He does, she does relax pretty well, though, going down the backside in this maiden special weight event. Charge West Coast Bias, your eventual winners. And we're going to follow this race to about the far turn, and you see this horse get good position, now 3 wide. And, I didn't think this race was all that bad. I know the horse falters, runs 9th, beat 9 lengths, but makes it a good enough move into the far turn. Makes, applies pressure, stays on willingly to the quarter pole against definitely better fillies than I think she's going to hook today, except, say, the 11, Via Fortina. This horse drew in. You see the little move there and forces the issue. That's good enough, guys. And she hangs on to the quarter pole. But inside post, she's going to be able to kind of tuck up, save ground today with the 11 drawing in. I don't know if she didn't like that. She's gonna have to she's almost like an omni-fig when you really look at it.
That's gonna be difficult, but Twisted Adage will show you a stat for Rodney Jenkins, and this is why, especially with the favorite now drawing in, this is a strong move for Rodney Jenkins, going from maiden special weight company to maiden claiming company on the turf. 33% positive ROI, 58% in the money. So I don't even think she necessarily liked the turf last time out. I think she's going to relish getting to a very firm course today. It looked like she was running a bit spotty. She didn't necessarily like it. So she's a must-use for me.
Okay.
I like Sarah's Treasure in here as well. I like her stretching back out on the turf. She's actually been in decent form, sprinting on the main track, but not an awful race going against head games, and she's definitely bred to like the turf. So maybe she just learned a thing or two in the time being by Escandarea out of a Smart Strike mare. But we should talk about the 11, Via Fortini. Like you said, an omni-fig. Her recent event was on the turf, was going against maiden $75,000 company. But for some reason, I think she's a little bit vulnerable. I know Tom Morley, he ran, I believe, a first-time starter. It was last weekend, a maiden, bet off the board.
Took a ton of play.
And did not show up.
No, just kind of ran even through the last eighth of a mile. Yeah, I think the biggest advantage via Fertina, when just at first blush looking at these PPs, there's not a lot of speed. So she should be able to relax and get the easiest kind of trip she's gotten as a 2-year-old, ran right behind Journey Home. But, yeah, I think in the multi-races, you've got to take a shot to beat her. I'm going to throw in the 6 quick-witted. We've talked about the family of humoristic time and time again. You're tossing her today, right? You're done with her?
No, I used her.
Okay.
Well, actually, I didn't play, but I was constructing my pick 6, and this is why my ticket was so expensive in this race.
Okay.
Because I don't trust the favorite. I wanted to use quick-witted. I thought that she was kind of a step slow coming out of the gate. She was really wide, and it was an awkward race because it looked like she dropped back to last at like the half.
Yeah, it was very odd,
and then
she
she
kicked on
came
pretty
back.
good late. Yeah, so I mean, you get a
Yeah.
chance to go to one of the replay machines and watch that April 30th race. She gets a little bit closer towards the inside, a cleaner break. You're right, could put her in better position. I expect a little better finish, and I like how they hold the level. They don't go ahead and drop her.
I also threw in the 5 Market Alley by Flower Alley, but out of a multiple stakes winner on the turf and kin to a turf winner. So that's why I thought that was a spread race. That's where you can really make your money in that pick 6 or late pick 5. We get to the 8th of a $5,000 beat nickel, 5.5 furlongs onto the main track. I saw this race between really 3 horses. I prefer True Arch in here. I think is coming out of tougher races, including the race against Iredell last time out. This is a better spot for him. You do prefer First Time Gelding Drive at Night, a horse that I thought you really wanted to use.
Yeah. It's taken him a long time. He got that second win back in March. We haven't seen him and the other Damon horse we haven't seen since late March for Rain Collector. I think Rain Collector, he had everything his own way. Was a little goofy, but still got it done. He's going to get more pace pressure today with Go Bo Go, even Bobcat, and even the horse from the inside Aim Straight. But I think Drive at Night to 5.5 furlongs is the key for him. He's going to get the right kind of flow up front. He's got a decent enough punch. You go back, he keys up against the likes of Iredell. We saw Iredell kind of go up the ladder. Drive at Night, 5.5. I think he's going to, really enjoy what he's going to see in front of him once they leave about the 3/8 ball. I expect a strong kick today, the last quarter of a mile.
You and I agree on the top 3, different order, but I thought you would maybe want to use all 3 of those if you're playing those multi-race bets. We'll get to the 9th race, Keith, to the 16,000 non-winners of 2, a mile and a 16th out on the turf course. And we'll take a look at Chevrolet. I'm not giving up on her just yet because I loved her last time out. She did not really show up, but this is her breaking out of the gate, and I believe she is the number 2 horse in here. And you'd think that everything would be fine, right? She breaks an inside post position. She's going to save ground going into the first turn. Unfortunately, the 1 horse towards her inside starts to lug out going into the first turn, and just both of them completely blowing the first turn. It gets worse and worse as the turn progresses. Unfortunately, almost going out of the camera shot there. So that's enough, guys. That's all we needed to show. After that, Seda just had the ability to go wire to wire. That was the way the turf was playing. She was better forwardly placed. Nobody really closed in that race. So for those 2 factors, I thought she was up against.
That was the race, I think, where, if I'm not mistaken, whether she was the other, there was another speed horse that kind of
she took off the pace. Did she?
They got left. They got left or broke a little slow, and Saida was left up there to dictate it.
That's what it was. Yes.
So she got a major assist, Saida did that day. And Chevrolet, I expect her second time back. I agree that I'm going to use her. I'm going to use Justice for Sheena. Both those horses out of that May 27th. It's my top 2. I think you'll get square prices. And Chevrolet, I think, with a cleaner break, once again, looking at it, she's gonna be forward a long way in here, and you should get that good price.
I was having difficulty figuring out who I wanted most out of that Beaches and Bourbon race, and between Pardon Tories French, Cantante Domino, Fed Up, Fired Up. To me, for some reason, I feel like they're all on a level playing field, but I still think that Pardon Tories French has really run exceptionally well given certain circumstances. So I did give her the slight edge, but I do think that they are pretty even, and that's what made this race tough.
I was surprised at the grit that she showed last time when encountering trouble early. She kept on going, Fed Up, Fired Up, draws again even further out today. She's encountered some trouble. She's run consistently faster, looking at, the obstacles she's had in front of her the last couple races. She's out there again. She'll make a steady progression. I think Justice for Sheena, you go back at some of her races on the page, she's in Chevrolet. If they show up, they're quicker than these other horses.
I agree with you. Sometimes I just think that Justice for Sheena becomes a little bit even pace sometimes. We just don't see that kick, and she's not fast enough to get too close to the pace. But I do think that they are probably the two best horses in the race. We'll wrap things up with the 10th and final, a maiden 10,000 event, 5.5 furlongs onto the main track. I was trying to take a shot with the 8 Awesome Standard. We'll have to wait for another day, so I default into the 5 Desert Frontier. To me, looking at this race, I prefer Desert Frontier. I think Slim you could use with the speed in here. You land on a first-time starter, Hunk of Rock.
I was all over the map in this race. I mean, like you talked about one of the races earlier you were looking at and had no clue. You just sit there and look at it, and you're like, something, please come to me. I'm looking at this field. I really don't like anybody too much, but Hunk of Rock comes in and gets the late-breaking Lasix. Love that angle. You look at, I think it's the full sibling, Rockside Classic we saw run around here, was 4 for 21, made over 60,000, was quick enough. I like the work. May 17th, a good 5/8, 101. You carry that out, that's probably good enough to get it done against this group. Creepy the Crab, another one, needed last out of a faster race. Tries down below aren't as bad as what they really look at compared to the rest of this field. I'm going 10 to 1, 15 to 1 morning line on top. Hopefully we can.
We'll see if the biggest question is whether or not Stan picks Creepy the Crab,
right.
because I know he's a big fan of Creepy the
Yes,
Crab.
he is.
Yeah, so we'll see on the dropping back down in class for Creepy the Crab. Maybe today is the day for that 15 to 1 shot. That will do it for us. We went through 10 races today. It's a hard card today, but I think if you're on it, it's going to pay dividends, and you definitely have to play that Rainbow Six because there is a huge possibility that you could be the lone ticket.
Yeah, I expect a nice little push into that pick 6. You're going to have to earn it, but like I say, you will be rewarded. It's a good betting card. The rest of the weekend looks solid when looking ahead, doing the morning lines. It's not an easy job, doing that stuff around here and trying to handicap.
We appreciate you,
Well,
Keith.
not even that, but even handicapping what you can Stan and the rest, and Tim and everybody, and Kimber. It's not easy. So, but I think we're giving out good enough information. We're trying to put you on the right path and take a little bit what we've got and what you've got, and hopefully it becomes a little bit profitable for you.
It's a game of opinions. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, but at least we try our best here. Thank you, Keith, once again. Great stuff. Thank you all for tuning in to Today at the Races. Dave Rodman will be up next with those scratches and changes. Good luck.
Good luck.